Tonight on Q2, a fast food frenzy. As Billings' first Chick-fil-A gets closer to opening, we take a look at the question on everybody's mind. What about the traffic?
I think we want an organized plan before we get going, and it's kind of like, what levers do we pull?
Plus, we dive into the problem of restaurant staffing. How tough is it to open and stay open these days?
There isn't anybody, I think, that isn't hiring good people right now.
If only everyone could be like this.
Let's get this party started.
We introduce you to the woman giving Wendy's Dave Thomas a run for his money as she's living the fast food dream. The MTN 530 News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm Casey Conlon, coming to you from the site of Billings' first Chick-fil-A restaurant. Meanwhile, our Andrea Lutz is at the Wendy's on Grand Avenue, and Russ Riesinger is back in our Q2 studios. We'll get to both of them in a moment, but we'll start right here, just off of 24th Street West. Excitement is building for the grand opening of this extremely popular chain restaurant. Now, I'll answer your first question. No, Chick-fil-A has not announced an exact opening date yet. They just continue to say early in 2023. Now, I was inside this building earlier this week and can tell you it's very close to finished. There's still some minor painting to do, and I spotted some electricians and plumbers in and out, but really the big thing left is hiring. Chick-fil-A tells us the restaurant is hoping to hire a whopping 130 employees. The franchise owner is already underway with interviews, and there's a sign on the building encouraging people to text a number to complete an application. Now, the Billings location will be the third Chick-fil-A in Montana. Kalispell was the first, and the second opened just last month in Missoula. Now, if you've ever been to one, you know there's rarely a quiet time of day. It has many in Billings fearing that traffic getting here will be a nightmare. This is technically the beginning of the drive-through, but the line is going to extend much farther. It'll likely go out onto Marketplace Drive and then back all the way to 24th, where cars will be lined up in both directions. Our Jackie Kaufman is over there now with a look at how the city is hoping to mitigate the issue.
Hey, Casey, that's right. 24th Street can already be a nightmare on normal days, especially during rush hour traffic, like what's going by me right now. And when Chick-fil-A opens, we don't know how long those delays are going to be, but one thing is for certain, traffic is going to be backed up. But city engineers tell me they're already planning for this. When the popular chicken chain opened in Missoula a month ago, dozens of cars were backed up on nearby streets, causing a traffic jam on the busy Reserve Street.
And I see lots of lines.
Irene Nettles lives in Cody but frequently visits Billings. She's concerned about the traffic headaches Chick-fil-A will bring because she's seen it firsthand.
Just a lot of crew members probably being overwhelmed.
Nettles helped open a Chick-fil-A in Lubbock, Texas, and said the traffic situation there was chaotic and worries the location here could be problematic.
I saw it the other day and I thought, wow, that's not very far off the road, where there's one lane that comes off a busy road that would be probably blocked.
But the city of Billings says it's ready. City engineer Mac Fogelson says the city is already working on a multi-point Chick-fil-A plan that includes adding a left-hand turn lane from northbound 24th Street into the business park.
I think we want an organized plan before we get going, and it's kind of like, what levers do we pull if we see certain, there's human behavior involved, so, if things don't go exactly perfect, okay. That's something we anticipated could happen. We pull lever number one or we pull lever number two, and it's kind of like dominoes that fall in an orderly fashion. So.
Fogelson said they put together a similar traffic plan when Sonic opened in the Heights. Only weeks out from an expected opening, city engineers are waiting on more information, including a specific opening date and number of expected customers from Chick-fil-A. Other components include asking Chick-fil-A to hire a traffic engineer to look at light timing cycles up and down 24th and King, and to be prepared to hire off-duty police officers to control traffic.
There's also an educational piece, kind of with Chick-fil-A working with the neighbors in the marketplace, like how is this going to work in the short term?
Nettles says while she's worried about traffic, she's excited for the restaurant to open.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having some waffle fries and all that good stuff.
Now, Casey, there is another intersection people are concerned about. It's, of course, 24th and King right behind us. Fulgason tells me that Chick-fil-A is going to be working directly with Montana Department of Transportation to figure out traffic, lights, all the timing down there.
We know it's going to be an issue. We'll just see how big of an issue it ends up being.
Hopefully it all goes smoothly.
All right, thank you very much, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Now, restaurant staffing has also been an issue in Billings for a while now. It seems like you see help wanted signs everywhere you go, which makes Chick-fil-A's goal of hiring 130 staff for this location alone all that more eyebrow raising. Even downtown staple Stacked had to suspend its dinner service back in July. They only reopened as of this week, but owner Stephen Hinman knows that the industry is facing an uphill battle.
I don't think there's ever going to be end to it.
It's an ominous sentence, but a realistic one. The COVID-19 pandemic has likely changed America's restaurant industry forever.
Everybody is shorthanded. Everybody's battling.
Stephen Hinman made the decision back in late July to offer just lunch at his downtown restaurant, but that's not what Stacked was built for.
You design a restaurant this size to need so many sales per square foot and over this amount of time, and the numbers don't work if you're only open for lunch.
He's thrilled to put this sign out front again this week, 4.5 months later, after finding enough of what he calls the right kind of employees. But he knows he's not in the clear.
It is a worrisome trend, you know. Not only did labor get more expensive, but just turning on a light switch got more expensive.
Carver's Brazilian Steakhouse turned on a lot of lights this fall. The new West End restaurant opened on October 27th with 65 new employees.
I like how the restaurant worked. It was something different and new and something I wanted to try.
Chelsea Powers took a job as a server after years out of the industry. She's still going strong because of her new coworkers.
No matter what, it's a lot of fun. I could come in completely grumpy and then the people here, you know, they help me.
You know, at Carver's, we're always working as a team. So I like that. It's not like everything's only on you.
Bartender Levi Newfield came to Carver's from a different restaurant in Missoula, where he says staffing shortages are even worse.
The housing in the market, they're leaving these jobs that sometimes don't pay as well.
Both Newfield and Powers say the money they make at Carver's is good and say many of the staff originally hired are still there because of a strong training program. But they've still had turnover and currently are hiring multiple positions. With fast food restaurants offering competing wages, this harder job is a hard sell.
Great line cooks and, you know, wannabe chefs say, you know, I make 20 bucks an hour, you know, flipping burgers and dropping fries. And if I don't like it that day, somebody else will hire me tomorrow.
The restaurant industry has an astronomical turnover rate. In fact, the U.S. Labor Department says that restaurant workers are quitting their jobs at the highest rates in 2 decades. The turnover rate for fast food restaurants is an eye-popping 130%, meaning most are turning over an entire staff every year. But we met one woman who is defying that trend. Let's go to our Andrea Lutz outside the Wendy's on Grand.
Well, at a time when it seems like the economy could buckle at a moment's notice, wouldn't it be nice to have a little bit of consistency? We are speaking to a Billings woman who has had the same job for 30 years. But she's not a doctor or a lawyer. She's been working in fast food, and she tells me that she wouldn't trade this job for the world.
We're gonna get ourselves ready.
At the Wendy's on Grand Avenue.
Get our counters ready.
The doors unlock and the cash register turns on.
Let's get this party started.
And you'll find a familiar face in Bonnie Bentz, who's been working here.
30 years in October.
30 years is a long time.
Yeah. So if you ever want a job at Wendy's, I'll hire you. You've got to love your job and your management.
It's no secret, things in the workforce have changed. Everywhere you look now, hiring signs are up and businesses need workers.
We are definitely feeling a pinch in employee shortages and staffing shortages.
Nationally, the hourly wage for a fast food worker across the country sits somewhere near $12 an hour. But a recent job listing for Wendy's offers as much as $16. And here's where the clash happens. Of Yellowstone County's 88,000 person workforce, only 2,100 are unemployed, leaving employers like Wendy's trying to entice those still looking for work.
I think we're doing something right. We just need more people to show up and work for us.
Perhaps Bonnie knows something about the workforce others don't.
It made me change my mind When my middle daughter had her twins and they were born 2 months premature, they put me on automatic paid leave, didn't pull vacation, anything. There you go, sir.
But she says it's work ethic that's everything, something taught to her by her own mother.
My mom was a single mom, worked 3 jobs to take care of us kids.
It's a trait really any employer is looking for these days.
That work ethic she has is unbelievable. You just don't see it these days. And to stay with a company for 30 years is almost unheard of.
At 62 years young, Bonnie says she's not sure when she'll hang up her apron and call it quits.
No, I got to be able to see my customers.
So she's willing to keep at it, hoping others will start in on this career path too.
Well, how is that for customer service? Okay, it is really cold out here, and I just went and got some really hot fries. Don't these look really good? I'm gonna enjoy these, and we're gonna send it back inside to our Ed McIntosh, because he's got to look at your first forecast right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you might want to save a little of the salt off those French fries for your sidewalk by the time we start getting to the end of the weekend, Andrea. Here's how things are stacking up. We got a quiet weekend with temperatures fairly close to average. We will have some periods of wind that go along with that, but then by late Sunday, heading into Monday for an extended period, we could be looking at fairly significant snow, especially once we get east of Billings. The temperatures are also going to drop. We're going to break down all the forecast details coming up in a little bit, but first, here's Russ with a look at some of today's headlines.
A series of school threats over the last week, 2 of them at West and 1 at Senior, are still reverberating through the classrooms. In fact, several senior high students fear they arrested the wrong person in connection with the threat there. As our Haley Monaco reports, the rise in threats seems to be part of a nationwide trend.
A staggering amount of students were absent from West High Wednesday, 1,350, and many were missing here Thursday at Senior High. Proof that even though both have not led to violence, the threats still take a toll on the school.
Senior High will get shot up December 8th. Everyone will die. That was the threat written on a bathroom stall, leading to the arrest of a student.
We don't think that he did it because he's innocent, because he was the one who went to go report it, but they arrested him anyway.
Kason Blacksmith is a freshman at Senior High, and he believes the student arrested was not the one who wrote the threat. That student, a 15-year-old, appeared in juvenile court Thursday charged with intimidation, but it's still not clear if he's the student who left the threat.
I hear a lot of people say he didn't, so.
Or if he just snapped a photo and shared it on social media.
They feel that the individual that they have at least is a person who sent the post.
Regardless, the district is taking it seriously. That threat, along with 2 others at West High, have taken a toll. Only 40% of West High students attended classes Wednesday. That number did rebound to more normal levels today.
Based on my estimates, there were more than 100,000 school shooting threats last school year. This year, it appears that it's going to be similar to that.
David Reedman is the founder and researcher of the National K-12 School Shooting Database, which tracks threats like this and also school shootings. He says a gun has been fired on school properties nationwide 292 times just this year.
And that is more than any other year that's been recorded since 1970.
One reason many in Billings aren't taking chances, a concerning problem that extends far beyond Billings city limits. Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Well, still to come on the MTN 530 News here on Q2, speed wins the day. We'll head back out to Casey as he breaks down the fastest fast food restaurants. And later, new technology providing hope for those with diabetes. We'll show you how in just a bit.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
Welcome back out to Chick-fil-A. Now, as we've told you, this new Billings restaurant is slated to open early in 2023. They have told us that every Chick-fil-A opens on a Thursday, so maybe keep those January Thursdays clear if you'd like to be here on day 1. For years, the chicken chain has held the title of fastest fast food. However, that's no longer the case. According to new data, KFC now has the fastest service of North America's 10 largest fast food chains. According to the report, it takes KFC an average of 302 seconds to complete an order. That's just over 5 minutes. Taco Bell comes in second at 317 seconds. Chick-fil-A's average order completion time now sits at 509 seconds, a little over 8 minutes. However, the data also found Chick-fil-A has the longest lines of any major chain, which may explain that. The report also found Chick-fil-A's customers are the most satisfied of any of the major fast food chains. Speaking of satisfied customers, our Ed McIntosh always delivers. He's back after this with a wonderful weekend forecast, although it gets a little sketchy next week. Stay tuned.
Storm Tracker weather starts now with meteorologist Ed McIntosh.
We'll jump right in with the Stockman Bank weather cam and a look at the almanac. We ran about 4 degrees cooler than average by the time you put all the numbers together. 25 miles per hour is the top wind gust today. Just a little bit of an edge on the afternoon readings, but the sunshine felt pretty good. Of course, we didn't add any new snow. We're running very close to what we would typically see for this time of the year, and overall, we're looking at about twice as much total precipitation than we would normally see. Temperatures are already pretty chilly for you in Jordan at 16 in Miles City, 18 Sheridan last check around. You see a lot of readings in the 20s and 30s once we start looking a little more west of Billings. Areas that have been a little more wind prone, a little higher elevations have actually been a little warmer today. Our next weather system coming in from the Pacific Northwest. This is creating, as you can see, snow showers here as we look into eastern Washington and through the panhandle of Idaho. That disturbance starts to move in tomorrow, and while it'll bring in a few clouds, it's also going to start influencing the winds in the Livingston area. Well, some of the wind gusts will still be hitting 40, 50, maybe up close to 60 miles an hour this evening. The winds will start to step down as we get through the day and then push back up perhaps as we start getting into Saturday, but at least you get a little bit of a break for a while. Temperatures were in the single digits and teens by first thing tomorrow. Still the periods of wind that will hold some of the temperatures up. Livingston, Big Timber area, perhaps even for you in the Red Lodge foothills. And then as we get into tomorrow afternoon, we're in the 20s and 30s for most of the readings. A little shy of average for this time of the year, but still pretty comfortable. We will look for increased cloud cover compared to today, so that will make it feel a little cooler. Sunshine mixed with a few clouds on Saturday, and it's pretty quiet. So Friday, Saturday, even Sunday, pretty quiet weather pattern, but watch as we start getting into the late weekend. This deep upper low will start to move into the picture. That will dig into the region, bringing a chance of snow from Sunday afternoon in western Montana out towards the Billings area, Sunday night into Monday, and then start to push into southeastern Montana. This could be a pretty intense system, bringing perhaps even some blizzard conditions into southeastern Montana with some pretty good snowfall potential. If the path of that storm hooks a little bit more up into North Dakota, we'll get more snow. If it continues on a path into the central plains, obviously it's going to pull away from us and leave less snow on the ground. We're going to continue to track that for you. Temperatures in the 30s for a few days. Then we're going to be looking at that drop in the readings as we start getting into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday with pretty good snow potential. Keep checking back because the snow could be pretty significant.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching the MTN 530 News.
According to the Diabetes Overview, an estimated 34.2 million people have diabetes. That's nearly 11% of the U.S. population. But now new technology is available to help those suffering from the chronic disease. Our Charlie Kleps has the story.
New technology available here at Farm 406 aims to make the life of a diabetes patient easier when they offer these pods that will connect to an app on the patient's phone to give them proper insulin readings. For Cassidy Fishburne, diabetes is a part of her everyday life and has been since the day she was born. First as a type 1 patient and now also as a nurse at St. Vincent Healthcare.
It's a chronic 24/7, never-ending job.
She knows firsthand the challenges her patients face daily, but now with a new option called Omnipod 5, a technology that auto-generates insulin, it's getting easier.
So previously, say I ate breakfast and I was going into work, I would look and I would see like how much insulin I have on board. Now my pump is doing that for me and it reduces that stress of making sure I'm not going low while I'm at work.
And here's how it works. The Omnipod is attached anywhere on a patient's body and can then start releasing insulin. The pod has to be replaced every 3 days, but works without tubes and limits the number of injections for patients.
The biggest thing I think it helps with is it takes away some of the stress of you have to do everything. Now you have an insulin pump that's working with you.
The new technology is also connected to an app on the patient's phone, meaning they can modify their levels with just the click of a button.
It is automating insulin delivery around the clock, and then the user-initiated components are controlled through basically an app.
Megan Strickland is the clinical nurse for Omnipod in Montana. She says part of what makes her job so special is being able to help patients of all ages.
Just to be part of new technology and seeing so many people excited about it, kiddos all the way up to, any age of adult.
And Fishburne says the Omnipod 5 is life-changing for both her and her patients.
It's the best thing ever. It's really helped in all aspects of my life.
You can also catch them years into being diagnosed and provide them something that is going to hopefully help them, and that in itself is life-changing.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
Thank you for staying with us again from the site of Billings' first Chick-fil-A. Now, does this technically mean I'm the first person through the drive-thru here? Well, I guess the lack of a menu probably means no. Again, they haven't given us an exact opening date for the location. We know it'll be early 2023, and we know it will be on a Thursday. We also know that Chick-fil-A is hoping to hire 130 staff members for this location alone. Many believe that is going to be a challenge considering all of these staffing shortages across many Billings restaurants over the last year. You can read more about that online right now at ktvq.com, as well as about Chick-fil-A and the city's traffic plan for the grand opening here in, let's face it, probably the following few weeks as well. You can also see those stories tonight on Q2 at 10 o'clock. We'll see you then. In the meantime, have a great night.